Alright, so whether or not you were successful in the previous lessons to get the frame all one solid or not, we're moving on in our lessons. And since I can't help you with previous stuff today, it's snow day, that will have to wait till our next class period. We're meeting together. So we're just going to get started. I have all the layers turned on. That is this button here. I'm starting in the World UCS, which would be this button here, just so we're on the same page. We're going to focus on, now we're moving into some of the hub assembly for the tire. So there's a belt here that's going to go around some gears, and we're going to do our first gear today. So we're going to zoom into this area here, and you want to find this gear. It's a bluish color. We're just going to select this item and move it out of the way. So I'm going to choose this direction, which is the X. I'm going to grab this arrow. If you don't have these arrows, you'll have to use the move tool and then move it over. So I'm just going to grab this and then type in the value 500 to move it over. This will just give us an easier way to isolate this part, to focus on it. And so this is the kind of the face of the gear, and this is a side view. And then this part is actually going to be used to create the three-dimensional geometry that we need. So we're going to isolate this layer just by, you can either leave the part selected and press isolate, or I'm going to escape out of this and press the isolate key, this button here. Then choose the layer that you want to isolate. Just any part on that layer will do. So I'm going to select that part and press enter. Now we're focused on these three parts here. So this is going to be what we're going to use to extrude. So I'm going to move these three parts over, just using the move tool. Select these items, press enter. I'm going to choose this as my base point, because I'm going to snap from here down to here. So grab it, this base point, and then snap it here. Alright, now the next thing we need to do is, this is facing flat, and it actually needs to be facing up off of the drawing. So we need to rotate this item, but when we use the rotate tool, you can only rotate in the direct, like as you see the surface. So you can only rotate around the Z axis. So right now this is not going to work. If I choose rotate, it's just going to rotate around this circle like a clock. I don't want that. I want to rotate it actually in space to where it's rotated up. So I need to change my UCS, and I want my Z to be aligned with this line here so that I can rotate along that axis. So in order to get that, here's my UCS icon here. I need to rotate. Let me see if I can get my drawing a little bit closer to it so you can see. So right now, this is my X and my Y, and I want Z to be lined up with this. So I need to rotate on Y to get my Z going that direction. So I'm going to click on the rotate UCS tool. I'm going to be rotating on Y. So you can see already, if I go this direction, my Z is lined up. So you want to snap to this 90-degree rotation, or you could just press enter to accept the default 90-degree rotation. So now my UCS is properly aligned to rotate this part. So I'm going to select these three parts. Actually, let's do the reverse. So click on the rotate button, then select the three parts that you want to rotate, these three parts. Press enter. Specify the base point. I'm going to choose the same base point that I did before. And then I'm going to rotate this straight up. So it's a 90-degree rotation. So as I orbit, you should have this, should be the view that you can see here. This is facing now straight up and down, perpendicular to our two-dimensional drawing. Alright, next thing we want to do is, we've used this tool before, but it's been a while. We're going to revolve this centerpiece because this is actually the meat or the solid part of the gear, and then the teeth are going to be separate parts that we'll create in just a minute. So we want to revolve this part. Let's go to the solid tab, click on revolve, and actually I think we need to change our UCS. Let's try it before that. So I clicked on revolve, I'm choosing the part that I want to revolve, press enter. Specify axis would be this point here. And then the end point is 360 degrees. Actually no, this is the other point of the axis. So I'm specifying the axis of the rotation. So there's the axis of rotation, and I want to do 360 degrees. 360, enter. I have a solid disk, and the next thing we're going to focus on is creating these teeth. Now you can see that this is not aligned to our drawing, so the last thing we're going to do is make sure, before we create all the teeth, we want to make sure that it's aligned with the drawing. So first thing we need to do is extrude these. So we're going to use solid extrude. Select our two teeth here. Enter. We're going to extrude them a distance of 2. Enter. Right now, because it was aligned with the edge and we extruded straight out, this is going to add an angle extruded. So this is our line reference here. We're going to use this as a center line and move these two teeth to be centered. There's a very subtle difference, but if I orbit, you can see what I'm talking about. And my computer froze. Escape. Alright, you see this little lip. So it starts off even with the drawing, and then it moves away from the edge, because we have a straight edge and then a curved edge. We want it to be this, the center of this to be on the center of our edge, if that makes sense. So we're going to move both these parts. We'll go back to the Home tab, press the Move tool, click on the two teeth, enter. Then I'm going to choose the midpoint here, and then snap it to this snap point here. Alright, so now that's now centered. The face is on the edge. The center of the face matches with the edge of the circle. Alright, so now in our drawing you can see that these teeth need to have a rounded edge to them. Where are we? There we go. It's hard to see our drawing anymore, but so there we go. If I hover over it, you can see they need to have a rounded edge. So we need to fillet our solid surfaces. So we're going to choose the fillet tool, and then click on the edges that you want. Actually, we need to first set the distance. So I'm going to escape out of this tool just to start over. Click on the tool, and then we're going to define the radius. So I'm going to click on that, is set to 1, which is actually what I want it to be. So if yours is any different, you want to type in 1 and then enter to specify the radius. Now we're ready to select the edges that we want to fillet. So I'm going to click on that edge, that edge. That one didn't work. Well, it's not allowing me to do more edges. So I'll press enter to accept that, and let's do it again. There we go. So it's entered 2 times after you've selected your edges. So now we have the nice rounded edges, but you can see that it's still not aligned with our drawing. So we want to align that. So we're going to have to rotate this part around the disc to have it match the drawing. So in order to do that, we need to have our UCS set to where we can again rotate along the Z axis. So we need to rotate it back to the original axis, should be the one that we want, which would be the world UCS. So I'm just going to go to the Home tab, press the World UCS button. Now I want to rotate both of the teeth. Select the parts, enter. Specify the base point. Should be the center. Oh, if I can get it. Sometimes you need to hover over the edge to get a center point. So any of these center points would do. That's the base. And we don't know the angle of the rotation. So we want to match it up exactly with the drawing. So what we're going to need to do is use a reference. So we're going to reference our current angle, which would be, let's see, from here out to the midpoint here of any of these drawings, whichever one it's trying to focus on. So that's our reference, and we want the end result to be right here, matching the drawing. I need to find a midpoint here if I can, or some sort of snap point. That's an end point. Let's see if I can find a midpoint. If not, we're just going to use that end point. Shift right click. I saw a midpoint somewhere. There it is. Oh, that's pretty close. I'm going to hover over my drawing just to make sure that we're on the right spot. And that landed us exactly where we want to be. So now that our teeth are aligned with the drawing, the next step is what I really wanted you to learn. It's a new tool that we can duplicate parts along a radius, and it's found in the Home tab in the Modified group, and it's this tool here. It's called an array. So if you click on the tool, you can either array in block format, or you can array along a pole, so along a certain axis. So I'm just going to hover over this to show you the tip here. Evenly distributes object copied in a circular pattern around a center point or axis of rotation. My dogs just came in from the snow. So this is the tool that we want to use to create multiple teeth. So we're going to choose this tool. We want to array both these teeth. Enter. We're done selecting objects. specify the center point. So you may need to hover over the edge to find the center point. Any of these will do. And now we get into a menu specifically for this tool, and we can specify the number of items that we want to have. So we need to do a little bit of counting here. See if I can see my drawing. It's not allowing me to see the drawing. So let me just escape out of this tool for a second. I need to be able to see the drawing while I'm doing this, so I'm going to move this part over just temporarily. So I'm going to move this away, say 100. Now I can see the drawing. I can see the number of teeth that I need. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, let's just guess. So I'm going to select this to get back into my polar array menu here, and I'm going to specify the number of teeth, and let's just guess 20 just to get started. So that's not enough teeth. Let's do 24. Still not enough. 26. Getting closer. I think 28 maybe. There we go. So it's 28 total teeth. Now I'm going to move this shape back over. Whoops. Let me escape out of that. Select just this part. And I moved it over 100. So I'm just moving it back.